Moved to New York City.
And you moved to New York City.
Absolutely loved living in New York.
In your early 40s.
Yeah.
Went
in
to
my
school
late 40s.
In your late 40s. Went to school for how long?
Went to school for 6 years until I was 55. That's when I was awarded the doctoral degree. And simultaneously got a job at Trinity Wall Street, which is probably the biggest Episcopal church in North America.
We went there. It may have been you that was there. It's been so long ago because it was right after 9/11, and we went to church in there, but there wasn't hardly anybody in it.
After 9/11, it was scary what had happened. No one was coming down.
There were 20 people in this big, beautiful church.
And now it's packed to the gills
again
on Sunday morning.
That's nice.
Yeah. So many of our people died in the tragedy, and so much fear about being down on Wall Street at the time. So it had a blow. It was a year before it was back.
How did that change your life?
Well, actually, 9/11 changed the lives of most of the Muslims, not me, if not everybody. And in many different ways, the way we live, the way we perceive the world, and the way world perceives us, everything changed. One of the big changes, I'll tell you, that I never covered myself before 9/11. I started wearing my headscarf and my hijab after 9/11. Well, that was a time when a lot of Muslim women were taking off their scarves because they were being persecuted for wearing the headscarf. But for me, it was really important to embrace my religion and my identity at that time. So I decided to visibly look like a Muslim. And I also thought it's our responsibility as Muslims to educate people around us about what our faith is, what are the true teachings of Islam. So I started a lot of education or public speaking in local churches to tell people about Islam. I started teaching children at the local mosque because I also felt it's really important for our own children, Muslim children, to know the true teachings of Islam so they do not get brainwashed or influenced by what extremists are doing, which is not Islam. So I think for the first time after 9/11, I started thinking about myself. Who am I? And what is my religion? Why am I Muslim? What Islam teaches me? So it was a journey of self-discovery, self-reflection. And as I learned about my own faith, in a more intentional way, I started also spreading that awareness to the people around me. And yes, it changed everything, especially when you have children who are going to school and who look brown, who are immigrants. I mean, you are facing issues day in and day out.
So you had been there for how long when 9/11 happened?
I was there for a year, and I lived on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, took the subway to my office every day. The office was about 75 yards from the first tower, from the North Tower.
Where were you when the planes hit?
I was on the subway when the first plane hit, and the subway conductor said, "We are approaching Chamber Street, where you'll need to get off and get on the other side to take the local train to get to Wall Street." And then he said, "Stay on the train. There has been an incident at the first tower." And then he screamed, "Stay on the train." So all of us stayed on the train. We had no idea what was going on. Got off at Rector Street near Wall Street, came up out of the subway tunnel. It was a beautiful day when I'd gotten on the train, and it was very cloudy when I got off. There was debris in the air. There were women's clothes coming down from the sky. And it was, people were screaming. A friend of mine said, "A small plane has just hit the first tower. Let's go down and see what's happened." So I said, "Well, let's go. I mean, I always want to see what's happening." And we went down, and if you know New York at all, we stood at the corner of Greenwich and Liberty Street at the entrance of the North Tower, watched the South Tower burn, 3 floors, kept hearing people saying, "It's only a small plane that's hit it. It's only a small plane." And yet we could see 3 entire floors engulfed by flame. And about that time, it was 2 minutes till 9 o'clock, another plane from the west came from out of the blue. It was right over our heads, 1,000 feet above us, hit the tower at an angle right where we were standing, and the debris began coming down. And the woman next to me had the most incredible question. She said, "Is this a setting for a movie?" And
Oh, my gosh.
I thought immediately of Bruce Willis, and I thought, well, of course, this is one of his disaster movies. And I said, yes.
I don't think extremists have a religion. Extremists are there in Judaism, in Christianity, in Buddhism, in Islam. These are people who have extremist tendencies. It's not the religion that makes them extremist. I don't divide people as Christian, Jewish, and Muslim. I think they're good people and they're bad people. And they're good people in every faith and they're bad people in every faith.
And we just stood there until another friend came up to me, shook me literally by the scruff of my neck, and said, Stuart, run for your life. And it dawned on me I was in trouble, and I ran for my life. And, many didn't. Some of that debris covered some of the people with whom I was standing.
Killed him? Mm-hmm. With whom you were standing?
Not too far away. All of that debris from the impact of the plane and what came down, the jet fuel, and the debris. I ran into the basement of the American Stock Exchange, and then the church office was right next door at Trinity Wall Street. Trinity's been there since 1689, so it's been a fixture on Wall Street. Ran in there, and the rector said to me, the rector is the pastor, I was his assistant, and he said, people are streaming down Broadway, the major street in the city, and they're looking for shelter, and they're running into the church. Go over there and do something immediately. Mm-hmm. And I said, what do you want me to do? And he said, I don't know, just get there, go over there. So he spotted the organist, and he said to the organist, go with Stuart, go to the church, and you all do something immediately. People are coming in. And we went over, and we did a spontaneous, impromptu service of scripture readings and hymns and prayers, mostly as crowd control. Oh. You could hardly call it worship, and yet it was that too. Mm-hmm. And some really amazing thing happened in that 45-minute segment between us getting there and the fall of the first tower. And when it fell, the windows fell out of Trinity, the lights went off, people got under the pews, some of the people got under the pews. So we had 45 really good minutes there to sing and to pray and to read salient pieces of Scripture, like the 23rd Psalm. I read the 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Mm-hmm. And there was a man in the congregation who did something I've never had done in all my years of ministry. He jumped up and said, do that again. And he loved that portion of, yea, though I walk through the valley of death.
It's very comforting. It's so comforting.
Yeah, he appeared again, but I'd never had anyone do that, especially in an Episcopal service.
Right.
I live in a country which is a country, it's a dream country for people to come to, especially who have passions, who want self-actualization in life, people like me. And they come here because it's a country where dreams come true, where you can actually rely on your own hard work and be something because the barriers are minimum. And I have been able to do that. And I want to make sure that these opportunities are available to the next generations of Americans, immigrants and non-immigrants alike. So I do my dream is that whatever we can do to protect the legacy of the American dream, to protect the values and the freedoms that this nation offers to its citizens. And we can only do that if we learn how to live with each other, how to interact with each other, how to communicate with each other. We cannot build walls among each other. We need to learn interfaith cooperation to create inclusive communities. So, because I have enjoyed so much from this nation, this nation has given me so much. I want to make sure that the child who lands on the shores of America from Syria, he or she has the same opportunities that you had, and your grandfathers had, and that I have, and my children have. So I think we all have a responsibility to keep America's values intact as a nation of immigrants, as the most diverse nation in the world.